Today we are going to be looking at the area of offer in common law contract law. As we have seen, contracts are agreements that may be enforced before the courts. However, for a contract to come into existence, it is necessary to establish that a meeting of the minds between the parties to the agreement has occurred. A meeting of the minds is considered to occur when you have a clear offer and thereafter complete acceptance of that offer. The absence of one or both of these two elements will lead the courts to find that there is no binding, enforceable agreement between the parties. So, let's look at the area of offer. In order to have an offer capable of leading to the formation of a binding contract, a number of conditions must be fulfilled. The offer must be sufficiently precise so that the scope of the subsequent agreement is easily discernible. An offer must be distinguished from an invitation to treat. An invitation to treat is merely an indication by one party that he is interested in doing business with another party. However, it falls short of being an actual offer. For example, the mayor of New York decides that the city should build a new monument to celebrate the drafters of the US Constitution. If X issues a call for tenders to architects asking for design proposals for the monument he would like to have constructed, he is not making an offer. He is simply informing architects that he is interested in entering into an agreement with someone as regards to the design of the future structure. Consequently, when architect Y sends X his designs, he is not accepting an offer made by X. He is, in fact, making an offer to X. Y is responding to X's invitation to treat, i.e. the indication by the mayor that he was willing to do business, and Y's offer may then be accepted by X, the mayor, or refused. When deciding whether an offer or an invitation to treat has been made, the courts look to the facts of the case from the point of view of a disinterested third party, and do not use a subjective test, i.e. they do not ask themselves what the person who made the actual offer thought. The case of Gibson and Manchester City Council is illustrative. In this case, Mr. Gibson received a letter from Manchester City Council stating that the council may be prepared to sell the house he rented from them to him. The letter indicated that the house would be priced at £2,725 and that he should contact them if he would like to make a formal application to buy. Mr. Gibson immediately wrote to them making formal application to buy the house, but Manchester City Council had changed its mind and refused to sell. Mr. Gibson immediately sued Manchester City Council, claiming that they had offered to sell him the house and that by making formal application he had accepted that offer, and thus there was a binding agreement between them that prevented Manchester City Council from refusing to subsequently sell him the house. Manchester City Council claimed that it had not made an offer but an invitation to treat, in that they had merely indicated to Mr. Gibson that they may be willing to sell, and thus they were not bound in contract. It was the view of the court that Manchester City Council's letter was not an offer but an invitation to treat. Thus, they had made no offer to Mr. Gibson's letter making formal application to buy the house, was not acceptance of an offer, but in fact an offer which the City Council was free to accept or to reject. So is an advertisement an offer? It is a general rule of the common law that an advertisement offering something for sale is not an offer but an invitation to treat. However, an advertisement may be construed as an offer where it is sufficiently detailed, for example if the advertisement is precise as to the price and quantity of the goods for sale, if it is definite insofar as the offerer clearly indicates his willingness to be bound by the offer in the advertisement, and that, for example, if a time frame is specified as regards the duration of the offer. However, the above conditions are merely guidelines. As is frequently the approach of the common law courts, judges use an objective test and look to the facts of each case and simply ask themselves whether a reasonable man would in the circumstances consider the advertisement as amounting to an offer. In Carlyle and Carbolic Smokeball Company, the amount of detail contained in an advertisement led the court to consider that an offer had been made. So what happened in this case? The defendant was a manufacturer of smoke balls and claimed that they prevented influenza. The manufacturer was so confident in its product that it placed an advertisement in a newspaper offering to pay £100 to any person who caught influenza after using their smoke balls in the prescribed manner. The advertisement also specified that they had deposited £1,000 with their bank for this purpose. The plaintiff, Mrs. Carlyle, bought and used the product but became ill with influenza. She requested a payment of £100. The defendant refused to pay, claiming that the advertisement was not an offer as it was not addressed to a specific person, and that in any event it should not have been taken seriously, and that a reasonable person would not expect the offer to be legally binding. The court considered that the advertisement was a unilateral offer and that acceptance occurred the moment a person bought the smoke ball and used it in the prescribed manner. In the opinion of the court, the fact that the advertisement mentioned that the defendant had deposited a specific sum of money, £1,000, with a bank demonstrated a clear intention on the part of the defendant to be bound by its offer. Consequently, the court ruled that the plaintiff should receive the £100 as provided under her contract with the defendant. So when can an offer be withdrawn? The general rule is that an offer may be withdrawn at any time prior to acceptance. However, the revocation of the offer must not be communicated to the offeree. If not, then the offer will remain operative. However, even where an offer is not withdrawn, it will not remain open for eternity, and thus all offers are deemed to lapse after a reasonable period of time has passed. As always, what is a reasonable time is considered from the point of view of a reasonable man in the street and not what the offerer considers reasonable, i.e. the courts apply an objective test. The withdrawal of an offer is less easy in the case of a unilateral contract, given that the offer is made to the world at large. As we have seen, a unilateral offer is a promise made by the offerer that is accepted by performance of the act specified in the offer. In some cases, it would be unfair if the offerer of a unilateral offer was able to withdraw the offer he made. For example, if X makes a unilateral offer of €500 to anyone who returns his lost cat, and Y searches and after 2 days finds the cat, it would obviously be unfair if X could withdraw the offer prior to Y actually presenting him with the cat. In an effort to overcome this, some common law courts have found that in the case of a unilateral offer, two offers are in fact made. One, an express offer to pay €500 for the return of the cat, and two, a quasi-contract or implied in law contract where X promises not to revoke the express offer of the €500 reward once the offeree has begun performance. However, each case depends on its facts, and a unilateral offer will always be considered to lapse after a reasonable period of time has passed. Now, what happens if the offerer dies after making the offer? It is clear that an offeree may not accept an offer made by the offeror if he knows that the offerer has since died. However, what is the case if the offeree accepts the offer not knowing the offeror is dead? It appears the position of the courts depends on the nature of the offer made by the deceased. The first situation concerns the situation where performance by the deceased offerer's estate is possible. If performance of the offer made by the deceased is possible, then acceptance by the offeree creates a contract that the deceased's estate will have to perform what has been offered. The second situation concerns a situation where performance by the deceased's estate is impossible. If performance of the offer made by the deceased is impossible, then the acceptance by the offeree of the offer does not bring a contract into existence, and the deceased's estate is under no duty to perform. We hope you enjoyed this introduction to the area of offer in common law contract law.